All right, now our dog. Good morning, good afternoon. This is my first attempt at a tutorial, so I hope that it works out okay. We shall see. So I'm pulling up the Waldman bid, and I can see all of the bid that we have here. I've got it printed off as well. Stephanie sent me a bunch of information about the Waldman bid. So hopefully you can see this on your screen. If not, we'll do a call with each other, but I was hoping this would be easier for right now. I know this is the bid that you sent here from Stephanie. All of this always remains as a pretty hard template. What I mean by that is if you were going to make a new bid to somebody, I would open up a new bid here, whatever the person's email is, I go to project pricing usually, and then I would just copy all of this and paste it. And so Mr. John, and John's just somebody I'm making up right now, paste it. And then this kind of gives you, an easy template. Now you still need to read over this and skim through it, make sure everything applies. This is a very standard thing here. This is all standard. This was also the girl that wanted a max overlay look. So that's what Stephanie made this statement for, just to say, hey, this is an example of a max overlay look when she attached it to the original email and quote. This was also an adder. I don't think that y'all discussed drawer boxes with her, but she did add it as a line item, Stephanie did, just to, give the client all information that she could. If they're doing a backsplash, then this is, a variable statement as well, depending on what they want with that. And then we made up our own. This is a countertop, so all of this is all variable to this exact quote. Right here, this was stating, hey, you want the max overlay look. I've attached a picture for it. This was, hey, we didn't do drawer boxes, or we didn't discuss it at the meeting, but I'm attaching it. This is, hey, you wanted a backsplash. We can't really get an exact price until we know the material. And we'll go over all this. I can help you with all this. From here down, it stays pretty much the same. You're always going to state this statement here about our company being family owned and operated, holding ourselves to high standards, blah, blah. Checking out the website, checking out, links for Facebook and Google and all that. I state how we can install hardware, and it's a link to hardware, a thing about organizational accessories, and then just a final thank you statement for giving us the opportunity. Then you do an enter so that your signature's a little further down. So let's say that you were doing a bid and all it was refinishing. You could forget the countertop quote statement. You could forget a backsplash statement. Drawer boxes, that's not, if all you're doing is refinishing. So this would be, if all you're doing is refinishing, this is more of how the email would look. And then anything different, if let's say that they have like the trim pieces for that last Huntsville job, let's say that they wanted to do that, then what you would do is say, I attached pricing to take off the trim around the oven and microwave. I also added in at no charge doing a full depth shelf to give you maximum storage efficiency. We could always do a wine rack or something else like you mentioned, but that would be getting my carpenter involved and could be a larger expense than expected. Let me know, and we can always add something like this in. However, you can always right click and it'll have your right click and it'll do a spell check. So, you know, like for that quote that you sent me about that, you know, you might have to add in a statement like this. But all of this is always standard. All of this is always pretty standard. So as far as putting together a quote. So this was the quote that y'all sent to Miss Waldman. You've got nice attachments down here. You attached pictures of, you know, that max overlay project so she could see it. You know, I know you've got your bid here. And then she also attached the countertop from Stone Coverings. And then Stephanie sent me more information. So in putting a bid together, what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up this Waldman bid in Excel. I've edited this thing a little bit. Let me go over a few things first. I know that, you know, you learned in that mini tutorial you can't just click here. You'd have to double click so that you could write, you know, kitchens or whatever. I had to double click that. You know, you can highlight stuff, move it around. I didn't mean to do that. You can highlight stuff, you know, whatever. One thing I want to state is removing and adding line items. That's one major thing that's pretty easy. But let's say that you wanted to add a line item between this one and this one, the Premier Service and the pullouts. Where you want to add a line item, you right click the row, or you click the row below it right here in this little column, so it highlights the entire row. And then you right click here and go to insert, and you would insert a whole new blank row. Alright, you may not need it that tall, so you could always grab your little mouse here and take it to whatever width you need to, you know. Let's say you wanted to delete a row. You would click this whole row in this area right here, right click, and go to delete, and it'll delete it. So, you know, that's an add and subtract line items there. I'm just going to go ahead and start fresh, and we will delete. Let's say that I'll just delete these two here. And we're going to kind of do this Waldman quote from scratch so that you can see how we do it. Kind of be doing this on your screen while you have maybe my video up on a second screen. So, you know, usually you'd have somebody else's information here. You might pull up an old bid that you know is similar. So instead of Lisa Waldman's information, you might have John Doe's information, but you would just, you know, enter here, you know, John Doe. I have them separated so that they'll do a line by line. So, you know, 112 Old Todd Street, 1212 121 212 1212 for a phone number. Nick Saban Rocks at gmail.com. So that would let you update everything. That's why I have them separated here and here, so that it will do that. If you didn't separate them, this is what would happen. Let's say that I had this roll right into this here, like that, and I clicked out, then it's going to do that right there. So that's why you just space it out, make it go to that next line, if that makes sense. So, you know, we have the templated project pricing wording. I know this says Atlanta here, but y'all have one for you as well. And what this is it's just a template, and it's got, you know, where you enter their information. I state here to always state the wording from your subcontractor. so that there's no confusion with your subcontractor and what's being done and what the homeowner expects. You can see that I've got a line item for just refinishing, for redooring, for redooring and refinishing. Sometimes people might want options for redooring and refinishing with wood doors or with thermofoil. So I have line items specified for each. But, most of the time people want wood. So I would just, right here, refinishing and redooring. I've got one for soft close drawers. I've got one for new drawers that aren't soft close. So these would be the white enamel glides. This is just like a storage cabinet if somebody wanted it. A hood fan, removing a cabinet above a stove, make available for a freestanding range hood. So I've got some kind of templated line items for modifications and changes to people's layouts. I've got one for crown molding, moving a microwave up that might be hanging, removing a cabinet above a stove, microwave modification, window seat, building a pantry cabinet, installing a trash slide. This is a link to a double 50 quart. Another one for crown molding. I guess I've got a repeat. A light rail, cutting down a bar, building a second level bar, valance area, replacing a valance with a new one, removing the valance area completely and returning it. So all these are just, standard things that a lot of people might want. I know y'all haven't done a lot of these, but hopefully we get into them. Here's one for a farm sink. And always work with me, especially for the first several bids. I would advise to work with me and let's do bids together. I'm happy to do that. I got one for under cabinet lighting, backsplash. And again, all of these may be altered depending on your current job. Like in this backsplash, for instance, I've got demo current backsplash. Well, you may have a client that doesn't have backsplash there now. She's got sheetrock. So there's no demo to be done. So you would just delete this and start it with prep area for new, in your line item. So that's how you do that. Going back to the Waldman bid here, I'll space this back out and we'll go to Waldman. So I'd enter Waldman's information. This was an old bid, 611 East 118th, East 18th Street, Houston, no zip code, 713-825-6800. Feel free to pause my video, while you're doing it if you need to. lisa.waldman@hotmail.com. Alright. So there we go. You can see that's bold. So I would just click here, highlight it, take the bold off of there. And there we go there. Let's say this was refinishing from an old bid, or let's just say it's blank. If you got this highlighted, you can hit the delete button. You could either do two things to delete this. You could double click it, highlight it, and press backspace, right? Or you could just click it once, right click it, press delete. No, don't do that. You could just click it and press your delete on your keyboard. So either way. So what we would do is go to our sample template here, find the refinishing and redooring, which is right here. We're going to copy it, go to the Waldman bid, and paste it. And there we go, redooring of cabinetry and stick and coat with matching. You've got matching panel drawer fronts. These are slab, so that's one thing we would change. Is she wanted panel drawer fronts. She wanted her drawer fronts to look like doors. So that's just where you've got to kind of read. I know that in the drawer fronts, and then I know that because she wanted the max overlay, Stephanie and me and her worked together on this, but we said matching panel drawer fronts in max overlay allowance style. I think the other thing that was this is that she needed the baseboard removed, so at the end I think we put removal of baseboard under stove included in pricing. And anytime you're doing all this, as long as you're in it, you just click your mouse. If you're out of it, say you're out of this and you want to change it, you got to double click. So if I wanted to do existing 2 drawer boxes, I can't just click it once. I'd have to double click it. Existing space 2. So just keep that in mind. So this is your line item here. Pricing, I know that's already set. 89.60 is what y'all priced her at, I think. So then we've got, I know pullouts is the next thing, but let's just kind of pretend like that's not there. I'm going to press the delete. Since I'm not highlighted, I'm going to highlight all this, backspace. I'm going to press the delete key on here. So then we need to add line items and do the rest of this bid. So if I know that it looks like this bid has pullouts, soft close drawers, backsplash, a light item for the built-ins, and a light item for the interiors. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different line items. Well, we only have one ready to put in. So I would click this with my left finger, and then right click and insert. That gives me 2 more, 3 more, 4 more, 5 more. So this way, if we've got 5 more line items to do, we've got the space to do them. So, or you could do it as you go. That's another option. But pullouts is a line item that she wanted, so we'd go back over here. I don't have a line item for pullouts. You could always do one. It's just these soft close drawers. So I scroll down here, right click it, copy it, go back to the Waldman bid, right click, paste. Alright, this isn't underlined, so I would double click, highlight here, go to my underline right here. This obviously is a little bit too big of a space for this. So I'm going to take my little cursor here, shrink it down to a good size, you know, where it looks like it is proportional. But these are pullouts, so we'll change this line item from soft close drawers to pullouts. And build new drawer boxes, she wanted 4. So we could, in here, do 4 new drawer boxes. Mounted on full extension, load bearing, soft close drive technology. You know, I like to attach a picture in the email, so if you wanted to, Stephanie did this in her bid to Waldman. You could do parentheses, see attached picture for example. Period. Pricing there, you know, I say you have $55 of cost per drawer. So, you know, it's up to you on what you wanted to charge. If you did $110 per, it looks like Stephanie did $122.50 a drawer. So she priced it at $490. So you can always double click here, $490, out click. It should always have this little money sign here. That's from the accounting firm here. You know, we could always do a different, you know, percentage, parentheses, but we like the accounting. That way it always sets it with a dollar sign. And this is all in the home tab with the ribbon here. But we always want the pricing to be accounting. So we'll scroll down to our next line item. Looks like here we're going to do soft close drawers. So we can go back to our template. We've still got these soft close drawers. We can copy here, go back to the Waldman bid, right click. I right clicked, pasted. We're going to highlight that, underline it. Alright, again, we got too much space here, so I'm going to bring my cursor over here, move it up to where it's proportional. Build new drawer boxes. $1,400 is what Stephanie put in. I normally like to, specify the amount of drawer boxes. If you're gonna give a total, you either give a total, like 4 drawer boxes and a total amount, or you give no total and you do, like, say, 95 per drawer. The reason that I say that is because if you have $1,400 for all new drawers and Stephanie counted 10 drawers, but it actually ends up that she missed 2 and there's 12 drawers, then y'all have to eat a couple of drawer boxes worth of cost. So, even if you're wrong, it still lets you specify how many drawers you're actually pricing. So I would have liked for her to have entered build 14 new drawer boxes or 12 new drawer boxes. I remember her talking to me about this and saying that she wasn't sure, and I wanted her to specify, because technically you could overcount. Say that you counted 12 and the customer's like, hey, I only have 10. Well, then yeah, you have to come down in price a little bit. But there has been a time where I priced 21 drawers and the customer actually had 28 drawers. And because I specified that, I was able to add in cost for the other 7 towards the end of the project, and the customer couldn't really argue with me because I specified 21 and there was only 28, and there was actually 28, if that makes sense. So, again, we will make this a little more proportional. Looks like we've got a line item for backsplash from the notes. So we go back to my template here where we've got all the line items. Backsplash is usually down towards the bottom. So we would come here, left click to highlight it, right click, and then go to copy, and then go back to the Waldman bid, and then I'd highlight the area that I want to be in, whatever one that is, but it's this one. Right click and paste. And here we go. We've got demo current backsplash, prep area for new, install standard layout backsplash. Now she wanted a ceramic, and I think that y'all specified this to your girl at the stone place. So I think Stephanie replaced this with install ceramic subway tile in brick pattern. And then the rest should be correct. Labor and setting materials included. Customer divide tile, grout and grout. The price is already firmed up because she selected her material. So I would highlight this and press backspace. Right click or out click it, and then make this more proportional. And $800 is what Stephanie priced it as. I'm not sure what. This was the bid from the countertop company for Waldman. So it looks like for backsplash, I don't really see where she priced it. Maybe there was another quote for the backsplash that Stephanie didn't send me. She might have. I think she did separate it out when she sent y'all this. So whatever, either y'all did that at cost or you marked it up some, but I do think that you sent Anna the information of how much backsplash that she wanted a specific ceramic subway tile to start. Again, I think that goes back to the bid where, when Stephanie sent it over, you can see that she specified backsplash cost will material. It'll depend on the material, but since she mentioned something simple and timeless, we thought a good starting point was a ceramic subway tile in a brick pattern. And I think that's what you told Anna, and I think that's what Anna priced. So I think that's why we were able to specify that in this backsplash cost here. The next line item is built-ins. Now, since that's technically a different part of the room, I usually over here in column, I guess this is column D, I usually specify this for the areas. So kitchen is here, We've done all of the kitchen line items. I try to do all cabinet stuff and then any tile last. So right here, I would highlight it and type in built-ins. Looks like we're gonna have the same same line item as this, max overlay. Rather than going back to the template here and copy and pasting this, because I know that I'm gonna have to enter in the max overlay wording, I'm just gonna go back to the bid itself and copy the first line item. So right click, copy, bring it down, left click to highlight, right click and paste. And I always read through it, because at the bottom here it says removal of baseboard under stove. Now these are built-in, so we don't have to do that. So we'll right click, double left click rather, highlight it here and press backspace. And then the rest should be correct wording. Redooring of cabinetry and stick and cope, matching panel drawer fronts and max overlay allowance style. Existing drawer boxes and glides. Now she doesn't have any drawer boxes and glides, so I would probably delete that, because this could be confusing to a client. They may say, hey Nathan, did you price drawers? Because we didn't have any drawers or glides. So I might delete that. But there's your pricing there, or your line item. Here, double click. I think Stephanie said no charge in all caps. We've got one more line item. I think this is another section that I would classify as interiors. And here we go here. So, refinishing. So, I go back to my template here. At the very top is refinishing. Copy it. Come back to the bid. Left click to highlight, right click, then paste. It's a little large, but this isn't everything we need. The reason why I say that is just interiors. So you're going to have to alter this a little bit. We don't need soft close hinges. We don't need detailed glazing. Existing drawer boxes aren't an issue. Hardware is not an issue. Materials and pulls. So I'd almost delete all this. Interiors, instead of refinishing, honestly, this is how Stephanie did it. She said refinishing of interiors of all cabinetry, parentheses, kitchen and built-ins, to match new color of exterior of cabinets, labor and materials included. Rather than doing that, if it were me, interiors, I would just do painting, and I would do painting of interior either one of all cabinetry, kitchen and built-ins, to match new color of exterior of cabinets, labor and materials included. Looked over here, looked like y'all charged a good amount. Sorry, that's my phone. $42.50 looks like is what y'all charged there. So here's the bid now. One thing that I wanted to kind of change is this. To me looks kind of plain, and it looks like you've got to have a template for Houston and one for Beaumont. I went ahead on another one, and I kind of did one that you could use for both, one for Texas and one for Beaumont, so it could be universal. So I'm going to take this, copy and paste. I'm going to highlight these, copy them. This is something that Stephanie might do for you. But D through G and paste. I think that looks a little cleaner. Gives you web addresses to both, phone numbers to both. Nobody goes to your location, so I don't think address is important. So this is the bid. We would go File, Save As, Wald. This may be an old bid from another client, so you got to make sure to do Waldman cabinet bid, save it. You're going to save it as an Excel file, and then we need to resave it as a PDF. so that we can attach it to the email. So I'll go File, Save As, wait for this to kind of load. Over here where it's cabinet bid, you can see it's saving it as an Excel workbook. I'm going to down click this arrow and scroll down to where it says PDF. Click it, let it update, and now it's going to save it as a PDF. So that when I hit save, it's going to think, and then the PDF version should pop up here. So now we've got a nice PDF version to be able to send the client. There's a chance that if you do this, let's say that you make it like this line item right here. Let's say that you made it barely just like that you try to make it real tight and snug. All right. If I go to save it as a PDF, there's a good chance that it may not see everything visually on the PDF. I'll show you what I mean. So if you save it, it thinks and pops up. Well, it didn't do it there. Sometimes it may cut it off. Sometimes if on your bid you're trying to make this too tight, when you look at your PDF version, it may cut it off like this may be cut off, this wording here. So, you know, I always like to leave myself a little bit of room above and below so that when it saves it, it saves it in a nice you know, spread out sense. I'm gonna resave, save it again as a PDF. If you've already got a PDF open, if you try to resave it, it won't let you because the PDF's open, so you might have to reclose the PDF. But here we go, and then we'll go back to our web browser. You know, pick an old bid. You know, let's say that, like I said here, you know, Mr. John. So this is an old bid that we pulled up, copy and pasted it. Mr. John, instead of Mr. John, we'd put, you know, Mrs. Waldman. Enter that here. Obviously, we're not doing anything about the microwave and oven, so we would delete this. But then we want to state some things about specifics about this bid. So, you know, it looks like Stephanie did make a statement here about. And this is where my wording would come into play. This isn't really Excel work, but it looks like she made statements about. I've also attached pictures and examples of the doors and drawers being max overlay. You know, y'all didn't discuss doing new drawers, but she priced it. She brought up some things about backsplash cost. And then she brought up, keep in mind, the separate countertop quote. So for the sake of not retyping all this, I'm just going to copy, open here, and paste all of this so that it's there. Subtract it out. Alright, so now we have all of our wording. We would come to attach. Usually if you've recently saved something over here, you can come up and go to quick access and scroll down, and then it should be the last thing that you saved, so you could attach it. You know, let's say that they sent you the counter bid and you open it like this. You can always save the counter bid. Save as. Save it. It already exists, but we're going to resave it. So we would attach it. Go down here. Recent. And then I like to attach, anything else to the quote as well. You know, anything else to the quote. Like you can see Stephanie here attached pictures of the kitchen that I sent her that show a max overlay look. She also attached a before and after. Looks like she also attached, the bid itself, and then this as well. I always like to attach the folder or file that is the inside your sales folder. What I mean by that is the service packet. So this is the Birmingham one, but I always like to attach it as well. I know that you probably gave them a service packet, but what I mean by the service packet is this right here. So what all the information is inside your sales folder that you give them. I know that you give them a hard copy, but to me it's all about attaching things. The more that you attach and include, the better. So hopefully y'all are still using this, and you would attach your version of this here, and then send it on to the client. I always like to read through everything, just skim through it, make sure all this looks good. But I think right now, hopefully this helped with putting together a bid. The main things, man, is adding and subtracting lines for a bid, and all that is done right here. So you'd left click, highlight it. If we're wanting to delete the line item, we would right click and delete it. If we want to do a new line item between this line and this line, I would go to the one below where I want one, highlight that whole line, right click it, and insert. And that's going to insert you a new line above it. That's the main thing. Then a lot of it is in just copy and pasting, man. So we'll start here, and maybe me and you will spend some time on the phone together. All right? Roll Tide.